What's up, YouTube? Okay, so this is more discussion on the video I did talking about how there's no real middle class black values, or even when we try to have some, it's almost as if we get punked into doing the whole deviant thing because we don't want to be outcasted, or we don't want our children to feel isolated, this, that, and the third. Okay, I'm gonna keep it real with you. Every family has their own culture. Every family has their own ways of doing things. So they have their own values and their own beliefs. Okay? Now, so if you had a block, okay, 5 homes, all Asian families, each one of those families would have their own culture, their own way of doing things. Now, the similarities, okay, if you took the similarities in each household, that would form the mother culture, the super culture, right? Each home values education. So education will go into what that culture stands for, and so forth, so on and so forth. So if your child went to the neighbor's house for some time, yeah, that family would do things differently because they have their own unique family culture. But at the end of the day, they would have the similarities. Oh, yes, we both value education. Oh, yes, you have to respect your parents. You respect your elders. Oh, yes, the men are supposed to do this and the boys are supposed to do that, right? So there will be things that are in common, okay? And that has to be understood. Okay, so as a parent, you have your own family culture, but then at the same time, you have that dominant, mothership type culture to reinforce what you want. Okay, so in the home, you told your kids you need to value education, and when they go out and they meet other people under that whole mothership culture, that's also reinforced. So what you say at home isn't contradicted outside. No one's going to tell you don't value education. So if you're that Asian boy or girl, you're never on some, who do I go with? Do I go with my peers or do I go with my parents? It's all the same, even though what you do at home is somewhat unique. But when it comes to black culture, we definitely don't have that. Okay? We definitely don't have a system that reinforces what we teach at home, or more importantly, what we should be teaching at home. So if I say we value education and, we value respecting elders, go outside, into the mothership culture, and it's telling you to not do that. So it is working against you. So how do you deal with that? First of all, you have to have a strongly defined culture. There is no more, that's just the way things are. Literally, you and your spouse maybe have to sit down and actually talk about what the family's going to stand for. I'm not even joking with you. Okay? Really be deliberate with it. Not on that passive shit, but really deliberate. This is what we do. This is what we stand for. You have to be that way. And to be real with you, you have to be prepared to say, hey, our children may be isolated. That's like I said before, I know where I'm going. Even if my wife is black, I know where my family's going to live and what we're going to do. I just hope that other black people are there with me, because I refuse to be punked into trying to fit into a larger culture just because. Right? That's the whole point of trying to form black families, so you have a collection of people so you can create a new mothership type culture. Okay, a new sort of black culture that values, the proper things. Yes, people will still have their own family values, okay, and do's and don'ts, but at the end of the day, there'll be this mothership culture that reinforces it. So if I say, hey, you can go spend the night at Johnny's house, and Johnny's parents are black, I know that on a personal level they do things differently, but at the end of the day, I know homework is going to be done, kids aren't going to say whatever, kids aren't going to be out playing late, they're not going to be watching certain things on TV. I know that, hey, they're doing things similar to how we do it. And like I said, the only way to do that is you and your spouse have to be extremely deliberate. Okay. B, you have to be willing to say that, yo, we may have to be isolated. And C, more so on a group level, other people have to buy into it so that you can have that sort of community. Because you and your wife can do A and B, but C is more so dependent on other people, because that's more so the community approach. That's the whole idea of, putting these families together and having that mothership type culture. It's as simple as that. Right? I understand sometimes why a lot of mulatto or biracial people are so messed up in terms of who they want to identify with. You got the parents, typically the black guy, and the mother's Asian or white, not even Hispanic, because the cultures are kind of similar. But, when they're white or Asian and they want to side with the Asian side or the white side because that's how they grew up. And, they get upset because, people want to funnel them into black culture, but they don't like the way, things are going on. I almost have some sort of sympathy for them, right? Because I can see some of the shit. You grow up and this is what you do and this seems so proper, but then society wants to drag you over to the, the quote-unquote black side where anything goes. It's one big-ass party over here, right? It's one big freaknik over here. Anything you want goes. I don't want to be part of that. So, like I said, I almost have some sort of compassion, for that. The parents are, usually off in the suburbs, and, they're not around black people like that, and, and they're used to doing things a certain way, and only to wake up one day and somebody says, oh, nope, you're a nigger, this is what you guys do. It can be frustrating, right? But at the end of the day, something like that, to be real with you, needs to happen to black people. They need that. They need the whole idea of you need to isolate yourself from the vast majority of black people. Okay? When every part of your culture has been infiltrated, it's a problem. When what you're supposed to do is valued, cats get out of jail, we're having a party, girl gets knocked up, father's not, or, baby daddy's not even around, doesn't even have a job, let alone getting married, doesn't even have a job. People's throwing a baby shower. There's a problem. There's a serious problem. And the sad thing is, this shit has happened in the middle class. Not so much the jail part, but the whole idea of, when Keisha gets pregnant, our parents are throwing her a damn baby shower in the burbs. So, like I said before, I hate to say it, I don't think a lot of people want to say it, but, it's a done deal. If the black community was a car, the engine is beat up, the transmission is gone, everything is just falling apart, and you know what they're going to tell you? Man, you can't fix this car. You need to get a whole new one. And when you get that new car, guess what? You better take care of it, right? You better get that, transmission fluid flushed, get the engine looked at every couple of, every 5,000 miles or whatever. You better take care of this one. And we're at that point now. So really, it's about, I'm in the market for buying a new car, right? And you really got to take care of it. And that's just what it is. It's not easy. Yeah, and it's definitely going to require you to say goodbye to a lot of people. But it is what it is. Because like I said before, I would love to see other black people with me. Don't get me wrong. I would love the day where, I could have a barbecue or some Christmas party and it's a whole bunch of productive black families and we're not worrying about this, that, and the third. But if it doesn't happen, I'm going to still do it anyways. So if it's going to be, Becky, Sue, and Jimmy, right, then it is what it is. Because at this point right now, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth developing your own family culture, but then trying to fit into a larger culture that counteracts what you want done, which isolates the people for doing what they have to do, or so it's either like they slander them or they patronize them. Okay, I don't want my kids to be celebrated and championed because they went to college or they didn't go to jail or they don't have kids. I don't want them to be knocked for it. I don't want them to be, praised for no damn reason, because that's what they're supposed to be doing. So, yeah, if people get offended, oh well. right? You know, you build something and you go live in those communities and see what happens to your children, and then, you know, keep it pushing. But as far as, you know, me, and I know there's other people who feel the same way, you got to be deliberate, man. You have to be deliberate. You and your wife have to sit down and really say, this is what we're going to do. And what we think, what we may have overcome, you know, our children may not. So, yeah, we were able to listen to Jay-Z and all these other people, but our kids may not be able to. So we need that approach. You know, we need that. We have to build something new. You know, the same way you'll have the freaking interracial couple from two different cultures who have to figure out how it's going to work. You know, I'm black, you're Asian. How are we supposed to make this work? You know, two black people, we need to start doing. Because in a sense, we're creating a new culture. So y'all take it easy. God bless.